This is Viewer Takeover. We film every Monday night and we bring it to YouTube every Tuesday. I think we're going to get this one out on Tuesday. I'm really, really excited because we haven't had a good Tuesday show in a while. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole, and the guys to my right, the boys, Dave from Dave Station VBR.
I thought we were trying to streamline the show, Brian, but you will not get rid of that. You will not get rid of that.
Never. Never. You've been branded. And that guy on the right-hand side of the screen is AJ from The Underground, PSVR. Underground.
Sirens
I
on
love
Brian's
it, man.
end.
Give it to me. More immersive intro for me. I'll take it.
And every week on Viewer Takeover, we like to thank a whole lot of people. And the only people we want to thank this week actually are these people. These people down here, the people that keep the channel running. They're the ones who went to patreon.com/withoutparole games. And they're giving us $1 or more every single month. You're keeping the lights on. You're showing your support. You're telling us, keep doing what you're doing. And we love you for it so very much. So if you want to support the channel, make sure you consider heading to patreon.com/withoutparole games. But here we are in Viewer Takeover. We're here to answer your questions. And the first question comes to us from Julia, the Game Cat, on the Mage's Tale re-review. Thank you very much, Donatello, for being part of that. That was awesome. Julia writes, #Viewer Takeover. I'm so excited for Fracked in Doom 3 VR. But are exclusives bad for VR? This has kind of been a running question, and I've been wondering about it a lot lately because anytime I feel like Sony tweets about a VR exclusive, the responses are always very negative. Like exclusives are bad for the industry. Like they might be great for the platform, but overall bad for the industry. Do you guys think that that's something we should be concerned about as gamers, as VR enthusiasts?
I don't know. I feel like as a console designer, as a platform creator, you know, if you're Sony or if you're Oculus or whatever VR headset company you are, you have a financial incentive to develop games for your platform. So you know that the thing you're selling has good games on it, right? Like Sony put a lot of investment into studios and bought studios and worked with studios to make sure that the exclusives that we had have been really consistently good for the most part. And I think that that's like part of the value proposition of any console, really, like any kind of platform that you have. There's always going to be something exclusive to something. You know, it'll come out on the Epic's Game Store a week early or something like that. Like it's kind of the standard these days. And I think applying it just to VR devs is kind of like weird because there's exclusives in every medium. There's Disney Plus exclusives. There's HBO Max exclusives. Does that hurt the streaming industry? No. It lines their pockets because people want to sign up to get that new thing. And so Sony is, I think, helping themselves and helping the whole industry. The more people that buy headsets, the better off we all are.
I think the streaming industry is gigantic and the movie industry is gigantic.
This is true.
And I think the reason that VR is getting this kind of attention and these kind of questions are thrown at it or this kind of criticism is because it's sort of like it could go either way right now. Obviously, we think that this is the future and that this is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But in order to grow this industry and make sure that developers are getting paid the way they need to get paid to keep making these games, it's like, shouldn't they be getting revenue from every single platform possible?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of that comes down to the developers. And like they enter into an agreement with Sony at the beginning saying, hey, we'll get the funding we need and the support we need to help give you guys a solid exclusive that we wouldn't have been able to make otherwise. Like Camouflage would not have been able to make a game like Iron Man just on their own without Sony's help. And so, I mean, it's good to see stuff like that. I think it fosters new, exciting things for the VR platform that we have already. I think exclusives are good.
Whenever a game is like on multi-platforms and stuff, I am definitely like, yay, more people get to enjoy it and experience these great games. So I'm like kind of supportive of both because I also love exclusives. I think exclusives bring value to the platforms that they're on. And I do think that there is usually a benefit, like when Sony, like with Hitman 3, you get stuff, it's an exclusive and stuff, but they were compensated by getting funding from Sony as well as a bunch of other games. So whatever they maybe could have potentially made in other sales, they are compensated with a huge corporation giving them money, giving them resources to make it a bigger, better, best product that it possibly can be. So I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword situation, but I think either way, the only thing that is bad here is when something is multi-platform and is held back in some way by a weaker platform in some regard. That is, to me, worse than something being exclusive.
Yeah, I definitely I love exclusives, and I'm going to double down on what you're saying, because I always think that the most polished games of a generation are the ones that only landed on one platform. And I think the reason they were so polished was because the dev team wasn't spread so thin, trying to create for all these different platforms and trying to make it work. And we've heard multiple times that the reason a game looks and feels the way it does on PSVR is because they had to target Quest and had to make sure that this game could work on Quest as well. And so we don't want that, man. We definitely want like the biggest AAA awesome experiences when there's a need for it, or when the game calls for it. It just doesn't seem like I don't want to dumb anything down. I want to make sure we take full advantage of each headset. And I think there's actually a stance you could take here that says this is good for the industry to have exclusives, because say I own a PSVR, I do, and I'm curious about the Quest, and I'm wondering if I should dive into that ecosystem. And I look at their game library, and it's the exact same library as PSVR. Right. What would convince me to buy a Quest? This actually encourages consumers to go out and buy multiple headsets and then dive into multiple ecosystems, more games purchased.
Exactly. And stuff like, even PC VR gaming. Like, I love PlayStation. I've always been a PlayStation guy most of my life. And then also there's been like Nintendo. I've loved Nintendo for their exclusives as well. So I've always usually had a PlayStation and a Nintendo. And when it comes to VR, it's kind of a similar thing. Like seeing Half-Life Alyx on PC makes me want to go into PC VR or Asgard's Wrath or any of those awesome looking games for me. To me, it keeps the industry, the market competitive, and it makes me, instead of going, oh, well, I don't need those, it makes me go, yeah, you know what? If I get the opportunity, I will pull the trigger and get one of those, because I want to play those games on those platforms.
And I think it's important, just as someone who appreciates games and stuff, and just for each console to have an identity, to feel like, this is why I bought this console. The PlayStation exclusives sort of build an identity about what Sony is, what PlayStation is. And Microsoft exclusives have their own vibe to them. But like Game Pass is their thing right now. And PC, I feel like modding and all that sort of stuff, like that's the unique aspect of that. But it's good that they all have their unique identities, I think, separately. So it's
exactly.
Good. Yeah.
Dave, why don't you take us away with the next question?
Absolutely, sir. This comes to us from Orseek. Pizza Samurai Game Cat. No, Samurai Pizza Cat. And he left this in our Discord channel, and he says, the new headset platform does not have an official name yet. We generally use PSVR 2 here, but I find the name PlayStation 5 VR more catchy. PSVR official name is PlayStation VR after all. What would you go for, and place a pizza bet on it? He wants us to place bets here.
For the love of God, call it PSVR 2.
Yes,
it's
that's
not
what I want.
That hard.
That's what I want too.
Oh, I will place a pizza bet on PSVR 2, and if they don't, then God help us all.
I mean, I think the only reason they wouldn't, right, is sort of the Xbox scenario. When it came to having Xbox 2, they didn't want to name it Xbox 2 when PlayStation was already at 3. Like, just from an outside perspective, from somebody who doesn't know the difference between the consoles, it looks like they're a generation behind, right? And so with there being a Quest 3 probably by the time that PSVR 2 rolls around, from an outside perspective, there's likely people who are very unfamiliar with the VR industry that are going to say, well, obviously I'm going to get the Quest 3. It's got to be better than the PSVR 2. So do you think that's going to come into play? Are they going to like even address that, or are they just going to say, fuck it, man? Like,
I mean, there will be consumers. There will be consumers who don't do their research, but I think it's going to be pretty clearly addressed. Even if you're a parent making a decision for like a gift, I would hope you look up even enough to know, okay, well, this thing needs a PS5 to run it, and this thing is a wireless thing, and they're totally different. They have totally different games. Like, I would hope parents would do enough research when they're buying gifts for their kids. But people have bought their kids the wrong Xboxes. That's Xbox's fault, because they can't name shit properly. Like Sony's, just put a higher number on it, and you're good.
Yes.
Like, they don't need to call it something confusing or that throws people off the scent of like if it's better or worse than any other thing. Just like it's better than the last one. There you go.
Yeah.
PSVR next gen. No, see, none of that makes sense. PlayStation 5 VR kind of makes sense. But just look, stop wasting time and energy on thinking of a name, call it 2, and spend all that effort on making it on the games and the hardware and the software and the operating system and the features, and boom, you're done. That's what's going to sell it. And you call it PlayStation VR 2, nail that stuff, you're good to go.
I think they should call it PlayStation 5 VR Royal. That's a Persona joke for you guys, I think.
There's definitely something to be said for calling it PS5 VR, because the number of comments that I've gotten as soon as the controllers were revealed, the number of people that were saying, oh man, I hope PSVR 2 is compatible with PlayStation 4. I hope that these controllers are compatible with PSVR 1. And I think you sort of simplify that problem and clarify the message immediately by saying PlayStation 5 VR. Right, and just to clarify, this is dedicated to this system. We're not going to restrain ourselves the way we've been restraining ourselves for the last 5 years by tying it to the OG PS4, making sure that games can run on that kind of thing. I think this. I would love it to be called PSVR 2, but I think if you call it PlayStation 5 VR, that would get the message out immediately. Not a single person.
Because the problem with
it's
that,
got to be something snappy that comes out of your mouth in like a syllable or two. Quest. PSVR, just like something really simple.
Like
and
Vita.
if you just add Vita, so I think
Vita was a terrible name though.
PlayStation 5 VR is like too wordy. I think,
and also the PSVR 1 headset works on it. Like if the PSVR 1 headset didn't work on it, that would make a little bit more sense. But no, just PSVR 2. Keep it simple and sexy.
I hope it's PSVR 2. Sony has gone again and again. There's always been rumors when every single console has come out. It's they've come up all the code names, and there's always been rumors that it's not going to be called PS4 because 4 is an unlucky number in Japan, kind of thing. And so these are the kind of things that like were always rumored. And then they just said, you know what, fuck it, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Let's stick with traditional. Let's make sure that nice and easy.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a lot better than going from the name to adding a 360 to the name, to adding an X to the name, to adding an S to the name, to adding a series to the name, but it's still the same. Like, I don't know, just very confusing.
AJ, do you want to take the next question?
Next question comes from Billy Paw the Game Cat from PSVR this week. Says, #viewer takeover like a pro. Sony seems to be killing it with the PSVR 2 announcements, from the revealing that they're working on a new headset to the detailed rundown and screenshots of the new controllers. But with, I'm guessing, a year between now and then, what's their next move? Should they do a headset reveal or wait? And when is too early to show off some launch games?
Okay, let's start with the last part first, guys. I've been sort of an advocate of the Fallout 4 way of revealing games ever since it happened. And I've been saying, that I'm loving that Impulse Gear is teasing us and saying, it's like, yeah, we've got something coming, but we're not ready to show you yet. And so I kind of want to have them wait, man. Like give PSVR 1 its chance, right? Its spotlight, its time to kind of finish out in a blaze of glory, right? And we get all these amazing games like Fract and Doom 3 VR, and just kind of let's focus on that before we start showing off PSVR 2 games. I think very quickly it would be easy to get less impressed with current gen technology when Sony is showing off super flashy, crazy next gen PSVR 2 stuff, right? And then we go play Fract and we're like, man, this would have been a good game if we just didn't see all that awesome PSVR 2 stuff. I mean, am I totally wrong on this?
No, I mean, AJ, looks like you got something.
Go ahead.
So I think that they have to come out with launch titles, some kind of footage of launch titles, pretty much around the same exact time they show the headset off. Because people will say, oh, that's cool and all, but what can I play on it? And you're not going to buy something if you don't know what you can play on it. That's the main thing for a consumer, I think. What games are there? And so I think that has to correspond with each other. Those will probably be at the same time or very near the same time, which I would say probably is 3 months before you can pre-order it or before you can buy it. 3 months before you can buy it. Mm-hmm. Pre-orders go live. They reveal what's going on, show some games, and say, hey, here's when it's coming out. I wouldn't be that surprised if it was October again, if I'm feeling fancy, just because, I guess they said not this year, but I don't know. We'll see.
This is my dream scenario, guys. You ready? You ready? I would love for them to kind of imitate what they did with the PS5 reveal. And I would love for them to announce the next gen PlayStation VR showcase event, whatever, reveal. They start out with maybe just a quick look at some games that were like on PSVR 1, and they maybe mention the history, the successes that they had, and then they start showing the games after games for PSVR 2, and then at the very end they slowly reveal like a 2 that like a 2 that opens up and shows the new headset, and bam, and then that's it. And they say we'll be showing more stuff as the year goes on. And then like later on, they show the operating system, some of the new features that it's going to have, and then keep trickling out like the price and stuff around pre-orders and things like that. Just kind of imitate the PS5 reveals. What I'm saying here.
Yeah.
So they're going to get Cerny up there to talk for 45 minutes about all the
Yes.
specifications.
You know what?
Maybe, just maybe.
This would actually like I mean I know that I said a lot of bad things about the Mark Cerny presentation. I know that I was bored out of my skull, and like it was really only meant for people who really understood all the technical specifications. But
Or if you watch it 10 times. But yes, go on.
Exactly. It's like that's not. I should be able to enjoy it the first time and get a lot of information from it the first time. But I do think that if Mark Cerny took a deep dive into PSVR 2 and did a technical spec reveal, I'd be way more interested in that, and I would be and personally, I would be like researching things that I didn't understand because I'm way more invested in like what does the PSVR 2 do instead of like the PlayStation 5, which is just like the thing that's running it. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, it's more powerful than the thing we have, and that's sort of all I need to know about PS5. Like I'm as far as consoles go, I'm like, what games are coming to it? But since like PSVR and VR is still in its infancy, I'm really curious to see those technical jumps from headset to headset, from generation to generation, and so I'd be way more interested in that kind of stuff for a headset where I wasn't at all interested in the console. So yeah, bring on Mark Cerny, man. I'm ready. Let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is because features in a VR headset are just completely different than looking at features on a console. Like, I don't care about teraflops when we're talking VR. I care about, does this feature allow for some new way to interact with the world or make things easier to use for people so it's not as much of a hassle to get in and out of VR? Like these kind of logistical things that when you hear someone talk about the specs, you're like, oh, I see how that would be embodied in my experience of VR, instead of just like, oh, this has more frames per second or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so there's an actual connection with the info because like, I know what that'll feel like when I play a new game, and that's exciting. Whereas, I don't get that excited about 4K versus 1080. Like, it's great, but like, I don't know. It's not the end of the world, right?
Agreed. But just, okay, so cap off this conversation, what just for simplicity's sake and clarification's sake, and to answer Billy Paw's actual question, what do you think is their actual next move? Do you think they should be showing off UI? Do you think they should be showing off? I think we all kind of agree, hold off on the games thing. Should they be showing off the headset? Like, what should be their next move, and when do you think we'll see it?
The headset within the next 2 to 3 months.
Wow, maybe. I mean, at the pace they've been going, maybe. But I just don't think that if they're not going to release it this year, I don't know how much they're going to show us if we can't pre-order it yet. Because like you want to capitalize on the excitement of revealing something to get those pre-orders in. And if you say, oh yeah, here's the thing, now you know everything about it, in 5 months you can pre-order it. Everyone will have stopped caring by then. Or not everybody, but a lot of people will have stopped caring by then. So you want to strike while the iron's hot, and I think when they announce it and show it off and let us know what the games are would be a great time to open up pre-orders, but not further out than like 3 months before they release the thing.
Do you think there's an issue where Sony would be concerned about competitors? Do you think there's a point where they say, let's not talk about it this early because we haven't heard what the Quest 3 is doing yet? We haven't heard what different PC VR headsets are doing. Is there a concern that they want to make sure that they kind of blow everybody away when it's sort of too late for their competitors to make changes?
That is a potential issue. And I do think that I still think you can announce the headset or show the headset But once it gets into all the nitty gritty details, I mean, some of this kind of depends on what the dev kits going out are as well. We've talked about that before, where if the dev kits are pretty close to what the actual finalized product is, then how you like, you really think you're going to hide that? Like, no. So I think the reason we saw the controllers, I think now that they've announced the controllers, they have to start trickling out stuff as the year goes on. And, they don't have to do it right away, but because they've got these other games and other things to be excited about to show us in the meantime. But I think once with the controllers already revealed, I feel like they can do whatever they want at this point.
It does feel like the gloves are off a little bit. You see, like when they first said, "Hey, we're working on a new VR headset, and it's going to be great," and then they didn't kind of tell us anything except stay tuned, and it won't be this year. It's like, wow, it was like, okay, that was really vague and really open ended. I mean, I think most of us thought we're not going to hear shit for like 6 to 8 months at this point, right? Yeah. And the fact that they decided to do this kind of makes me think that maybe they're ready to start showing stuff off.
I mean, I could see them doing a blog post where they talk about some of the specs without actually showing the headset, just to get people excited still, and without saying the name of it yet, because they've been very clear about saying the next generation of VR on PlayStation. They haven't given a title to any of this stuff. And I think that's because maybe either they're still working out a name internally, or they're waiting for that big reveal moment to say, hey, guys, this is the whole package here. This is what it's called.
Yeah, and here's the case.
I think with what Dave said in regards to, we know it's coming in 2022. I think the important part is sometime right before that, or right before launch, you do some big event. There's still probably a bunch of games. I'm still seeing AAA developers since the announcement being like, maybe we should start developing for this thing. So there's some big things coming for sure. But I think the important part is that you do, no matter how you trickle out the information all year long, you do a big games showcase and hardware showcase event near launch, maybe with the pre-order price and stuff as well.
If they're following the PlayStation 5 formula, at what point do you think we're going to see a video of Jeff Keighley playing games with the controllers, just going, man, this feels really good?
It better be us. It better be us.
You better be listening, Sony. I want to sit here and go, this feels really good. All right, guys, let's move on. We only got a few more minutes to tackle 2 more questions. I think the next one comes to us from Todd, the father muck and Came Gat over on Discord. He writes, #viewer takeover. With the announcement of PSVR 2, how will current PSVR devs go about it? Do you feel they'll rush to get their first gen VR games out before PSVR 2 releases, or delay titles to update them for PSVR 2 instead of focusing on PSVR 1? So I guess the question is do you guys think developers who are making games right now that are sort of like scheduled for later in the year for PSVR 1, do you think they're just going to stick to that release date, or go, man, this PSVR 2 thing might catch fire? Like, let's push all of our development to that.
If I were them, I would just stay the course, release it now, and then get ready for a re-release when PSVR 2 comes out for a remaster edition,
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the game. Like, so if there's a game that somebody's working on that could conceivably work on the Move controllers but would be better with thumbsticks or something like that, I think maybe those devs ought to hold off. But if it's a game that could still work right now, I always bring up mini golf in this scenario, because like that's a game we don't have yet that we could easily get, and there's no reason for it to be exclusive or anything like that. So if the game can work on PSVR 1, I would hope that they would release it now, because there's already a big ecosystem of people out there buying shit anyways, waiting for the next one, but still buying what's out there. So.
My concern is the numbers. Like, obviously at this point in the PSVR life cycle, I think a lot of focus has been kind of moved away from PSVR. I think a lot of people are, they've either jump shipped and they're like, well, I just want to run something super powerful on my PC, or they just want something super easy on their Quest. And I think that's where a lot of the focus has sort of switched over to. And so I think that there's a lot of developers out there that might be worried. And if they're able to share sales figures internally from team to team, say, oh, well, we released our game just 6 months ago and it didn't sell terribly well. Maybe they'll reconsider and say, you know what, maybe we want to like be part of this PSVR 2 attention. Like maybe it's worth holding off 6 months and releasing our game a little bit later. There's two games that jump out to me in particular right off the bat that make me go, you know what? These are games that were sort of, sorry, lots of sirens on my end right now. Two games in particular that just reek of just wait for PSVR 2. And I think at least one of these devs is teasing that. And that's Windlands 2, which has been development for PSVR for literally ever. Like since the dawn of time, they've been developing this for PSVR. And it only makes sense. Like it makes so much more sense to release this game with analog sticks and triggers and all of this stuff because it has that kind of feel to it. And I've played Windlands with Move controllers, and it's certainly not the easiest thing to control. With analog sticks, everything will be easier. And then the other one is Zero Caliber. Xreal, I know, was going back and forth for a little while. They were talking about, should we support the aim? Should we support the Move controllers? Because our game really kind of does both of these things. In neither one controller allows us to do everything that we want to do with two-handed weapons, the climbing, grenades, the tactile feel of everything. And so I would actually just recommend for those developers that are struggling with the control schemes to just say, fuck it, man. Like, just wait and make your game as good as it can be on PSVR 2. Get there at launch and like showcase your game and be like, this is great, and not be held back by the hardware.
Yeah, I mean, Zero Caliber was what I was thinking of when I was trying to figure out what's his second one going to be. Because, yeah, that's a game that I've played, and it's definitely certain PC shooting games really lean into this whole, like, it's ultra realistic. You manually reload everything. You got to grab your stuff off your, whatever. And the aim, while it's a great controller, just can't support things like that. And if you have to reconfigure your whole game concept to make it work on a different controller, nobody's going to get a better product out of the process, I don't think. So yeah, it's better to wait, like you said, for one like that, where it really is about the two-handedness and being able to grab and, move everything around. They have to keep with the thumbsticks and, like they just can't do it on the moves, I don't think.
And obviously the easy answer is in relation to the hardware. If it can only run like crap on PS4, then yeah, absolutely better to hold off.
Yeah.
Take advantage of PS5 hardware.
Dave, who's our final question come to us from?
This comes to us from Sci-Fi GameCat Henry over on the Discord, who left a message for us in the Viewer Takeover channel. He says, #LikeAGameCat. The Phasmophobia developer recently changed their phrasing from porting to Quest to porting to OpenXR. Now, we know very little about the PSVR 2 dev kits, but there is a possibility that Sony included OpenXR support. This would open floodgates of ports and would literally be Lloyd's switch to flip.
Love it.
Nepa?
I love the reference. Nice. Throwing a little French in at the end. This is nice. Nice to feel cultured already. Guys, this is something, the second I saw this question, I was like, there's no way. Like, Sony has never supported this kind of thing in the past. Anything, like there's no mods on Skyrim. There's no custom songs on Beat Saber. Like, it's a very closed ecosystem over on PlayStation. It always has been, and in my head, it always will be. But you guys dug up a little research, and it doesn't sound like this is outside the realm of possibility, correct?
No, I am currently looking at the Wikipedia page about OpenXR because we all had to do a little homework here. This is a little bit outside our wheelhouse, but basically, just to give you guys, if you don't know, because we didn't really know, it's a platform that allows people to develop for multiple VR and AR platforms simultaneously without the extra overhead and effort of porting to separate devices. And there's a list of companies that are listed as public supporters of OpenXR, and Sony Interactive Entertainment is on that list. So is HTC, so is Oculus, so is Microsoft. This seems like the standard moving forward. And I think it looks like Unreal already supports it. Unity either does or will soon. Web browsers support WebXR using OpenXR. You can launch stuff from a web browser too. There's a lot of applications with this, but it would make things very much easier to port, I think, is the main thing. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of Lloyd's switch, not to make a game into VR, but to make a VR game that works across all platforms, and you can just release, day and date, Quest, PSVR, everything without dedicating a whole team to your PSVR port, a whole team to your Quest port, and just it's one system. So I could see that happening. I mean, every other industry leader, Oculus, Steam VR, Microsoft HoloLens, and Windows Mixed Reality, those are the things that support OpenXR. PSVR is the only one that isn't on that list. They got to get on that list. I think they're gonna.
I don't know. I don't feel like they have to, but and like typically like Brian was saying, my first reaction was definitely like, no, they've always been closed source and it's never been anything like this in particular. But with them saying when they announced PS5, PS5 VR or next gen PSVR 2, basically, they did say, Jim Ryan did say specifically that this is going to be like a brand new platform in itself. So when I hear that, it does tell me that there is a possibility that this could operate. We already know it's going to be operating separately, as if it's like its own platform on PS5. So the possibilities are kind of endless. But typically, I would usually say no, or they would have their own sort of tools to help developers port stuff over to their stuff. But this is a possibility.
It's worth keeping in mind that just because something's open source doesn't mean their implementation of it won't be proprietary. Like, you can use open source. It's open to anybody to use it. But that doesn't mean that your version of it has to not have any safeguards against modding and stuff like that. Like, Sony will probably have their own implementation of OpenXR that doesn't allow people to go in and mod and hack and stuff like that.
For sure.
Because that's something they could probably do, I think.
It would save them a lot of probably. I mean, it seems like unless they had their own solution, it seems like it would save them a lot of time and effort.
Yeah. And I mean, even like with the Quest now, if they're using OpenXR, like, people don't directly hack Quest games. They sideload them, or they do something like this. Like, nobody's going into the source code of their Quest and like fucking with stuff.
Right.
So I don't think they would be like that on a Sony console either.
No.
Yeah. As far as like Lloyd switching the flip, as we like to say.
Are you saying that on purpose?
Yeah.
I've never heard you say it right. I'm like, is he doing that on purpose?
I mean,
I said it wrong. I think he's making fun of me.
No, I've said it wrong pretty much every time accidentally, and so now I don't even try to think about what's the correct way to say it. I just whatever comes out is what I say.
There is a story behind that. Okay.
Yeah, but like in regards to Lloyd's Switch, I've been talking to a lot of developers about PlayStation VR 2 and what's possible on PlayStation 5, and a developer who shall not be named basically said, Brian, the PlayStation 5 is a very special machine in regards to PSVR 2, and you're soon all going to find out why. And so I firmly believe that without forcing more information out of the person I was talking to, I firmly believe that is in relation to making it easier to flip a switch and get a game into VR, in terms of whether it be something like OpenXR or whether it be something that's exclusive, proprietary to Sony. I firmly believe that there is definitely something in the PlayStation 5 that's making it easy for developers to flip that switch. And I think we're going to see a lot more AAA, single A games making that transition, and way easier on developers because of what the PlayStation 5 is capable of. It's a very, very exciting time, guys, and I can't wait to see exactly what all this means.
Play has no limits.
I would hope that this means some kind of standardization too. Like, I'm looking here and it says that there's extensions for hand tracking support and eye gaze tracking support. Now, if stuff like that doesn't have to be implemented by developers on a per game basis, like I feel like people have to come up with their own control schemes every damn time they do a game with hand tracking. And it's like, if there's a standard, maybe people will use it and we won't have to relearn everything every time we play a game. So hopefully that's an upswing of this as well. And eye tracking would be cool too. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're just about out of time. Listen, guys, if you're unfamiliar, there's definitely some changes happening on the channel, so stay tuned. I'm definitely going to be uploading a video, kind of documenting and informing you about all the changes that are coming up. I hope it's all for the best. I'm really excited to share that information with you guys, so keep an eye out on the channel for that. All will be revealed soon. Of course, make sure you send your viewer takeover questions to either leave them in the comments below, man. # viewer takeover, all one word. We'll find them. Maybe we'll use them. But the easiest way to do it is just to join us over on Discord. The link for our Discord is in the description below. Come on over there, hang out. If you want to leave a viewer takeover question in there, there's an entire channel dedicated to viewer takeover questions, so you can do that as well. And that's it, guys. Let's get the ball rolling here. Let's get our night going. Let's start our day. I don't know what time of the day this is. Let's drink some coffee, eat some pizza. That's it, guys. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, AJ. My name is Brian. This is PSVR Gamescast, and we're out.
This is PSVR Gamescast.
That's what you said. You said this is PSVR Gamescast. All right. Leave it in. No edit.
God damn it.
Unedited.